Perfectly coiffed hair, looks neat and presentable all the time. He is the Mitt Blockchain CEO.
And the question is if they're looking to back out after this. Our next guest was one of the first and youngest names in the crypto space. Let's bring in Mitt Group CEO, Grant Mitt.
Tea-time like I got a cup of this shit. Tea-time like golf at 5:45. I love the...
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Grant Mitt Podcast, episode number 172. And in this episode, we're going to talk about starting with the end in mind and how to actually reverse engineer what you want, how to get there, and how you need to operate as a person so you can fast track reaching the next level, manifesting your dream life, and achieving what you want. Most people, and the way that anything related to growth is taught, is marginal, steady improvement. So for example, let's say someone is making $10,000 a month. They, instead of trying to get to 100 or $1 million a month, they focus on taking that 10,000 to 15,000 and then to 18 and then 22 and then 25 and just marginally improving. And instead of contacting 10 people a day, they contact 12 and then 15. And then they add one person, and then they add two. And it's these small marginal increases. Now, I'm not saying that being steady and taking your time is a bad thing. But what's so cool about life is you do not have to wait your turn. You do not have to have an orderly appreciation of success. You don't have to struggle for 3 years and then finally figure things out. If you want to, if you have the right resources, the right intelligence, the right team, and the right execution, you can do more in 6 months than many successful people do in 30 years. Like attracts like, energy responds to energy, and the market responds to what it wants and who solves the problem at the most efficient and attractive way. So what's cool about this is we can just start thinking bigger, approaching life differently, and achieve more than we can ever imagine. So this is the best way to do this, all right? Whatever you want to do in life, all right, I want you to write it down or just even internalize it right now and go, what would your dream life look like in 10 years or 20 years or maybe 5 years? And think big. How big is your house? Do you have multiple houses? How much money do you make per year? Do you have a dream spouse, husband or wife? Do you have a great big family? Are you connected? Who do you know? What is your day-to-day like? Do you have fitness goals that you want to hit? Is there certain things that you want out of life? And instead of working hard and saving 10% of your check and do it, and I'm not saying those things are bad. Those are great things and they're great habits. But why do we have to wait 20 years? Why do we have to go through all of these challenges? Why not just elevate our life like this? In 6 to 12 months from now, we're living pretty damn close to our dream life. You can do it. So here's how we do it. Now that you've internalized what your dream life looks like, I want you to reverse engineer the economics, the infrastructure, the people, the skill sets, and the mindset or skills that would be required of you and that entire operation to make that reality real. Let's throw kick to the curb, right? That 10 to 20K, the 100K to 120, like all these marginal, it's just like, it doesn't matter. And skip the line, and instead of waiting our turn, going to the end. Now, reverse engineering the economics and the infrastructure and all the things I just stated is going to help you focus on what actually is going to move the needle and alter your life. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that right now you do $100,000 per year in income and you want to make your dream lifestyle $3 million. All you have to do is look at whether it's what you do now, what your skill set is, or what other businesses are netting $3 million per year. And you can do this. You could literally search, like for example, you could go look at buybiz.net, where it's literally a site just for buying companies. And on many of those listings, it actually shows the basics of their P&L and the valuation of the business and what it nets. Or you could ask ChatGPT, you can ask around, you can do so many different things on Google and find out what businesses net $3 million. And it might be in the industry they're in. You might be an HVAC business owner. You might be a marketing agency. Just ask the question, does anybody in my industry net $3 million a month or a year or whatever it is? And then go look at the infrastructure that they have or would be required for you to produce that outcome. How many people would they have on their team? What would their monthly ad spend be? What skill sets would that version of you have to have that maybe you don't have now? For example, if you're a one-man shop right now and you make 30 grand a month, that's great. But what are some things you're gonna have to learn to do 3 million net a year, which is probably at least a $10 million business? Well, you're gonna have to have probably a team of 7 to 20. So you're gonna have to know how to recruit. You're gonna have to know how to manage and lead. You're gonna have to know how to hire and assign tasks. You're gonna have to learn how to delegate. You're gonna have to learn how to operate. You're gonna have to manage and learn all the tax and financial infrastructure of the business. But these things don't require 20 years of experience in teaching. I mean, yes, experience is the best teacher, but we can learn these things in 30 days or less and know more than most of the world because no one's really trying to learn these things. Most people are just trying to go from $15,000 a month in income to 20. So while everyone is obsessed with these tiny marginal things, we're skipping the line. You listen to this podcast, you don't want to do tiny increases. You want to accelerate your life. So let's just do it now. This is the key. We have to all build a spiritual, financial, and on the infrastructure side, a vessel that can contain whatever that goal you want. So for example, to make 3 million net, it is not just you involved. If you have another 10 to 20 people involved that are eventually going to be on your team, their goals, their ambitions, their family, their success has to be able to fit in that infrastructure. They have to logically think, man, like I want to work at this company. Like, it's a great opportunity. I love the culture. I love you, their boss. I love working there. And it's caused me to elevate in every way. They have to think that, which means what? The only way that we can have this happen is you individually have to expand your capacity to handle all of those people. Are you going to have people quit? Yep. Are you going to have people say bad things about you randomly? Yep. Are you going to have problems in the business? Of course. But you're also going to have wins. So do you have the mental capacity to handle this? So the key, remember, if we're starting at the end, we just have to learn the things that build the infrastructure so you can receive those things, right? You break down how many people you need, what your ad budget, you break down all that infrastructure, and then you slowly but surely build it. And if you can do it quicker by borrowing intelligence from other people, other business partners, investors, that can help you quantum leap decades in advance because you can start building something that has a much bigger capacity to handle more. All right. Next is your lifestyle today, not once you have the business, not once you meet your dream husband or wife. Your lifestyle has to resemble and emulate someone that is living your dream life. What do they do? What do they read? Where do they live? Who do they communicate with? What are their standards? What do they put up with? How do they tolerate disrespect? Okay, think about it. If your dream version of yourself, and I'm using the $3 million number as just an example. So some of you guys are entrepreneurs, you're business owners, other you guys are just motivated. It's okay. You can use it as a metaphor. But you got to think about it. If that version of you went back in time to you now, and that version of you was now experiencing the 5 people that you hang out with the most, who are lazy, who don't work out, who don't take care of themselves, who are negative, who do drugs, disrespect people, talk bad about people, do you think they would go, man, like I know they're not best for me, and I know they're probably not going to make me better, but if I stop hanging out with them, I'm not going to have friends? No, they'd be like, I'm done with these people. I'm moving on. I'll go meet new friends. And if I got to be alone for 6 months, cool. I'm going to build my business. Why? Because that person already knows that they're going to meet these incredible people. They know that they're going to reach that milestone, that $3 million net, $10 million business. They know that that's going to happen. So why would they stress about those few people that are negative and not good for their life? Why does this happen? And this is the third section. They have certainty. They have certainty in themselves, their skills. They trust that everything is going to come to fruition as they work hard and as they don't give up. And so having certainty, aligning with the lifestyle, understanding the infrastructure that's needed, and building it diligently creates a vessel that can receive it and causes you to not be swayed by emotions, by problems, by people or circumstances that seem to throw a wrench in the deal and mess things up. They can see past the present moment because they know who they are and they know where they're going. Look, if we can't stand strong, handle adversity, listen to someone say, you know what, I don't believe in your idea, right? Or you're doing the wrong thing, or you have your best employee quit. If these things throw you off and you're in chaos for 2 weeks, is that a person that is achieving your dream life? No. That person would be like, that sucks, but we're going to get someone better. I disagree. Thank you for your feedback. You implement changes and you elevate. That's what that future version of yourself would do. So live and embody the traits and characteristics of that person today. What's so cool about life, and one of the ways that you all can quickly see that, wow, okay, the world's starting to respond to me differently. Life is starting to feel different. Is the way that strangers treat you that don't know who you are. For example, let's say you're traveling for work. So you're on a trip. Let's say that you're meeting some new friends out. You're going to a meeting. You're going to a quick restaurant just to grab lunch. And you're in a different part of town. How does a doorman treat you? How does a waiter or waitress treat you? How does someone that's sitting next to you at the bar treat you? Because they are responding to your most current state, your most current energy. They don't know where you went to school, what you've been through, that this just happened, that just happened, your life's amazing, your life could be, whatever it is. They are only responding to your perception and your current energetic state. So it's a sign if they are treating you differently than what most of the world usually would have treated you, let's say 3 months ago, it's a sign you're heading in the right direction. Okay? And what happens is like attracts like. Everything that happens when someone suddenly becomes CEO or makes professional sports league, suddenly goes from making nothing to 50 million a year, it's not because they got lucky, it's because they finally elevated enough. And maybe they went through struggles, maybe they had the right mentor, whatever. But whatever it took, whether it was 10 years or 6 months, they became the frequency in the person that can naturally hold what their goal was. That's why when most people, let's give another example. When someone wins the lotto, what is their reaction? Screaming, yelling, losing their mind, so excited. But I think less than 30% of people that win the lotto ever retain their wealth. Why? Because they didn't have a vessel that could hold that. They didn't create that money. So the second they got it, they spent money on hookers and drugs and excess. They didn't invest anything. And next thing you know, 3 years later, they're broke. But why were they so excited? Because it was so out of the ordinary. They weren't a person that should have gotten $30 to $50 million or $100 million or whatever it was. They weren't that person. Okay? But the person who builds a company for 5 years and sells it for 120 million, when you actually talk to these people and you get to know them, a lot of them regret selling. And they're like, I got all this money, but I loved my business. Like, I loved running a company every day. They celebrated, they probably had a nice dinner, maybe they went on a trip, they got a nice car. But the reason why they were so successful is because they were doing it because that's who they were. They were doing it because they loved building businesses. They loved elevating their people. They loved making an impact. I was listening to an interview from someone that runs the company Andro. It's a military contractor, one of the biggest military contractors now for the United States. And they're doing so much innovative stuff. And the founder sold basically this product to Meta for like $2 billion. And the interviewer asked him, he said, hey, like, most people, they say, well, if I make $2 billion, I would be sipping martinis by the beach, enjoying life, never working again. He's like, why did you want to build something new? He said, well, the reason they're saying that is the reason why that they'll never be billionaires. He said, most of the billionaires that I know, like money is just like an outcome, but it has nothing to do with why they're doing what they do. Them building companies and being successful and pushing the limits and changing the world is their driver, not money. It's cool, do nice things with it, but it really doesn't have much to do with anything. And I think that's one of the best places we can get in life is when we remove our attachment to have to make this certain amount of money or get in this business at a certain level, or I'll be happy as soon as I finally meet my wife or my husband, or when I'm living in this neighborhood. The problem is we are tying our identity and fulfillment to something that one can change, but is not who we are in our soul. It's just what we have. And if you base your whole life around trying to just only accomplish things for the sake of doing it, you will always chase your tail forever. This is one of the biggest lessons most entrepreneurs have to go through. I had to learn this over the past 3 to 4 years. What's so cool is that person that we talked about at the beginning, that has that dream life, the dream family, whatever it is that is important to you. What's so cool is that you're that person now. If you have that desire, that means that reality is already in existence. Time does not exist, right? Future, past, present, it's all happening at once. This means you can and you will, if you choose to, become this person. But this is the key. Be happy now. Be in a state of wholeness to where, look, you're going to live a great life and enjoy the process no matter what you're making. No matter if you have the best sales week ever or a rough week that's challenging. You should be completely still. Because if you know you're getting to that destination, this is the fun part. This is where the story happens. This is when the excitement happens. And if right now you're making more money than you can ever imagine, stay focused, appreciate it, and keep growing as a person. But when we remove our attachment from worldly things, we can make concise and decisive decisions that are best for the team, the organization, and our world, but not tie our happiness to it. That's why the most successful people, anytime I've met multi-billionaires, high up, governors, senators, they're so calm. They're so nonchalant. They're so relaxed. And I've met people and had conversation with people where the world is just coming at them like you've never seen. And it's almost as if they just got back from Mexico and they're going to hang out with some friends later and they just, had the best week of their life. You would never know. And quickly you find out, oh, that's why that person's in that position. That's why that person has had so much success. Because they have been built and prepared to handle what they have. They aren't moved by what people are saying. That's the key. If you can embody that lifestyle, that infrastructure, that mindset now, and instead of waiting 30 years to do it, the byproduct of that will be everything that you've ever wanted in life. So hope you guys enjoy this podcast. If you do, share it with a friend. And most importantly, guys, have an incredible week. Thank you guys so much. See you guys again for the next episode.